A very good morning. We come to you from the center stage of Awadh politics, Lucknow. It's a crisp spring morning in Lucknow, and the fourth phase is polling, viewers. Let's give you a little, insight on what we are witnessing right now, where Uttar Pradesh voting in the fourth phase of elections. 59 constituencies, viewers, are going into vote in the fourth phase. By the end of this evening at 6 p.m., more than half of Uttar Pradesh would have cast its ballot. A phase which is spread over 9 districts, some very, very high-profile districts into consideration in the fourth phase, primarily Lakhimpur Kheri with its 8 seats going into polls today. Lucknow itself, from where we are standing with its 9 seats, is polling. It's an extremely windy day, this morning. The spotlight also on Rae Bareli, polling with 5 seats in the district of Rae Bareli. Why is Rae Bareli important? 2019 is when the Congress was able to hold just 1 Lok Sabha seat with Sonia Gandhi in Rae Bareli. 5 seats are up for grabs there. In 2017, 2 were won by the Congress, 2 were won by the BJP, 1 by the Samajwadi Party. But the catch this time, both sitting MLAs of the Congress are fighting on BJP tickets, Aditi Singh and Rakesh Singh. Let's put the focus now on Lakhimpur Kheri, one of the districts that is going into vote with its 8 seats. 2017, to give you an example, sweep by the BJP with what happened in 2017. They took all 8 seats. This time around, will there be issues? Because this comes in the back of the incident that took place in October last year, where there is a massive, or at least there is resentment brewing within the farming community at the back of one incident. Ashish Kumar Tenny, the son of Ajay Kumar Tenny, the sitting MOS home, allegedly running over farmers with his jeep. Now, this is also an area which is a caste cauldron of sorts, a lot of Dalit votes, a lot of Brahmin votes. Will the farmers rise above caste politics and vote as an identity of farmers, or will they be entrenched where caste is concerned and vote on caste lines? We're going to put the spotlight on all these districts. There's Pilibhit as well, Sitapur. These are adjoining districts of Lakhimpur Kheri. Will there be impact of Lakhimpur Kheri incident on any of these districts as well? Trust in India Today to get you the very latest as we cut across to our reporters joining us this morning from all 9 districts. But let's listen in to all the reactions that are coming in terms of leaders who've already cast their ballot. You just heard Rajnath Singh. He has just voted not very far off from where we are standing in Gomti Nagar. And right before that was Mayawati, who cast her ballot in Hasratganj. Let's listen in.
लोग चाहते हैं कि कानून का राज स्थापित रहे, लोग चाहते हैं कि डेवलपमेंट के मोर्चे पर प्रदेश और तेजी के साथ आगे बढ़े, और बीजेपी ने उत्तर प्रदेश में करिश्मा करके दिखाया है।
क्योंकि कुछ लोगों का ये भी कहना है, विपक्ष का भी कहना है कि योगी जी के कारण ये ठाकुर बनाम ब्राह्मण मुश्किल हो रही है बीजेपी की।
दरअसल भारतीय जनता पार्टी सर्व समाज की पार्टी है, सबको साथ लेकर के चलती है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ब्राह्मणों की मूल पार्टी है और हम सब मिलजुल करके यूपी को एक बेहतर प्रदेश बना रहे हैं। कानून का राज स्थापित हुआ है, डेवलपमेंट के मामले में हम नंबर 1 पर हैं। सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की जो योजनाएं हैं, हम उसमें सभी में नंबर 1 पर हैं।
यहाँ के लोग बहुत खुश हैं और आदरणीय योगी जी की, मोदी जी की लीडरशिप में बहुत खुश हैं। और पिछले 5 साल में अब हम लोग को जिस लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिचुएशन की आदत पड़ गई है, जिस बिजली व्यवस्था की आदत पड़ गई है, आई डोंट थिंक अब जल्दी उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता भाजपा का साथ छोड़ेगी। आई थिंक पहली बार कमल का फूल खिलेगा रायबरेली में।
उन्होंने जनादेश को धोखा देते हुए समाजवादी पार्टी के सहयोग से जीती थी, क्योंकि मुझे रोक दिया गया था, और कांग्रेस के सिंबल पे जीती थी, और जनता के जनादेश को धोखा देते हुए भारतीय जनता पार्टी में शामिल हुई हैं। उनकी जमानत जब्त होगी और आरपी यादव 1 लाख के अंतराल से जीतेंगे।
अपने को बड़ा नेता समझता हूं, लेकिन मैं भी अगर योगी मोदी के खिलाफ 4 वोट डलवाना चाहूं तो मेरी औकात नहीं है। इतना मोदी जी का और योगी जी का जादू से चढ़ करके बोल रहा है। मेरा अपना निजी अनुमान है, 10 तारीख को निकल के आएगा मेरा अनुमान सही था कि गलत है, कि 2017 में जिस भारी बहुमत से योगी जी ने सरकार बनाई थी, 2022 में उस रिकॉर्ड को तोड़ के उससे भी ज्यादा बहुमत के साथ योगी जी सरकार बनाने वाले हैं।
बीएसपी को
अकेले दलितों का ही नहीं, मुसलमानों का ही नहीं, बल्कि अति पिछड़े वर्गों का भी और अपर कास्ट समाज का भी, अर्थात सर्व समाज का वोट बहुजन समाज पार्टी को मिल रहा है।
This region is important in every manner. It's not only the SCs, all SCs are consolidated in the whole of Uttar Pradesh. And so far as this region is concerned, this has a dominance of Brahmins also. And they were waiting to put their votes and oust this government where they have seen more than 100 Brahmins being shot dead and encountered. So more than 500 dead. So this is a very important, this will be a clean sweep. This region is going to be a clean sweep so far as Bahujan Samaj Party is concerned. And you will see by the end of the day that the voting percentage will also go ahead and Bahujan Samaj Party candidates will be faring very well.
अब ये तो जनता को तय करना है। हम लोग अपनी बात, अपनी नीतियां, अपने लोग लेकर के, अपनी जो हमारी पॉलिसीज है उसको लेकर के लोगों के बीच गए हैं। और आज ये तो उत्तर प्रदेश को तय करना होगा कि पुलिस का अफसर चुनना है या एक पढ़ा लिखा प्रोफेसर चुनना है। ये तो निर्णय जनता के हाथों में, इससे ज्यादा मैं नहीं कहूंगा।
उत्तर प्रदेश में या देश में लोकतंत्र में जनता के पास ताकत होती है। कैबिनेट मंत्री क्या होता है? जनता तो बड़े बड़े चीफ मिनिस्टर, प्राइम मिनिस्टर को उखाड़ के फेंक देती है। मुझे जनता का आशीर्वाद प्राप्त है। वो कैबिनेट मंत्री उनको इस बात का अहम है कि हम कैबिनेट मंत्री हैं, इसलिए इस बार उनका हारना तय। कैबिनेट मंत्री होने के नशे में वो क्षेत्र में नहीं आए, तो जनता में जो रोष है, जनता उस नशे का, जो उनको पावर का नशा है, वो उतार देगी। क्योंकि ताकत देने की जो होती है, पावर देने की ताकत जनता के पास होती है। और हम जनता के बीच रहे हैं और हम अपने क्षेत्र में भी रहते हैं, वो हमारे क्षेत्र में भी नहीं रहते हैं।
All right, viewers, let's cut across to our battery of reporters getting up the very latest as the state of Uttar Pradesh, over 9 districts, goes to poll in the 4th phase of polling. I want to cut across to our reporters. Joining me right here from Lucknow, the center of our politics, is my colleague Moshmi Singh. I'll be cutting across to Lakhimpur Kheri, where my colleague Milan Sharma is getting us the very latest. Lakhimpur Kheri, 8 seats there, Lucknow 9 seats. We're going to cut across then to my colleague Supriya Bhardwaj, who's reporting from Unnao, and Amit Bhardwaj, who's going to get us the very latest from Fatehpur. We're also joined by our guests. We're going to cut across to our guests in just a short while from now. But to introduce them, Manisha Priyam, political analyst, joins us, and Mr. Sudhir also joins us from Lucknow. We're going to cut across to the both of them, but with their permission. It's the day of reporters tracking the 4th phase of polling in the state of Uttar Pradesh, and I want to begin with Lakhimpur Kheri, where my colleague Milan joins us. Milan, Lakhimpur Kheri is, in the spotlight ever since what happened in October. 8 seats in the entire district. To give our viewers, some insight, 2017, all these 8 was swept by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Will it happen this time is the big question, because there is farm discontent, especially riding at the back of the Lakhimpur incident. I want to cut across to Milan, who's joining me from Nighasan. That is a constituency which could have gone to Ajay Kumar Tenni. Ashish Kumar Tenni, Ajay Kumar Tenni, the sitting MOS's son, but Ashish was in jail. This ticket from the BJP then went to the sitting MLA. Milan, what are you witnessing this morning? Over to you.
Well, Preeti, polling has been slow since morning in this particular booth, and I'll just show you that the crowd of people and the slew of voters who've joined here in this polling booth are massive. We expect a large percentage of polling that may happen from here, but some of them are really visibly tired because they've been standing at the end of the line. Some of them have been sitting down now because, as you can see, there's a slow polling that's happening here particularly. This polling station is also been given a lot of security because we have been expecting that MOS home Ajay Mishra Tenni and his son Ashish Mishra Monu are expected to cast their vote in this particular polling station. But several times, we have asked the police personnel as well, and when they will be expected is unknown at the moment. They've been avoiding the media completely in this particular area. We've spoken to the voters. They have have also not been talking about the issue of the Lakhimpur Kheri incident that put a spotlight on this place on 3rd of October. But apart from that, if I were just to tell you the caste combinations that are in play in Lakhimpur, the overall 8 seats that are going into polling, 23% votes here are from the SC/ST community, all right, and about 17% Brahmin votes and 16% Kurmi votes. Now, Kurmi votes could be very, very important in this particular constituencies. The 6% Thakur votes and 4% Sikh vote. But Nighasan seat here, that, as you rightly pointed out, could have gone to Ashish Mishra Monu. He was about to contest from here, but that couldn't happen after the incident. Whether or not the people will vote on the farmers' issues or the spotlight that was put on the Lakhimpur Kheri incident. There are families of those farmers who lost their life in that incident wherein the jeep was run over the protesting farmers, which is why the Ashish Mishra was in jail and now he's currently out on bail. But other issues of this area, certainly, and as we were speaking about it, the stray cattle issue, because of the Cow Slaughter Act that was enacted in the current dispensation and government, no limited number of gaushalas were built and people left their cattle astray, which has led to feeding on the crops, and that seems to be a distress point and what hurts the farmers the most at the moment, because nothing has been done by by the MLAs in any of these constituencies. Lakhimpur city, Sadar seat could perhaps go to a Verma candidate, which is why it's interesting. Both Samajwadi Party and the BJP have fielded a Verma candidate from there. This particular seat as well could see a tough contest between the BJP and the Samajwadi Party, also because the spotlight on the Lakhimpur Kheri problem, the issue, as well as flood. Flood is a very big problem in this area. We spoke to voters. They said that because this is a flood-prone zone, houses built here often start, to dilapidate, and the area is completely flooded during the monsoons, and that seems to be a big issue in the area. But certainly, as I brought to you the caste combination as well, overall in Lakhimpur, Kurmi votes, the SC/ST Dalit votes, the Muslim votes, they will make a combination and deciding factor for which way, whether the BJP is able to safeguard their 8 seats this time around in these elections.
All right, Milan, appreciate you joining us. We're going to continue to come back to you. The importance for the Bharatiya Janata Party where this phase is concerned cannot be lost. It's a traditional BJP stronghold. The caste combinations work for the Bharatiya Janata Party. There are many urban centers which come into this particular belt where traditionally BJP is known to be strong. So important for the BJP. And, one can only go back into the electoral history of 2017 to understand the gains that BJP had made in this particular phase, which is 51 of 59 seats had gone to the Bharatiya Janata Party. I want to cut across right now from Lakhimpur with its 8 seats to 9 seats in Lucknow. And joining me from Lucknow is my colleague Maushmi Singh. Maushmi, muskuraiye, aap Lucknow mein hai. And it is a glorious morning in Lucknow. We are at the banks of the river Gomti. And my colleague Maushmi is joining me from one of the high-profile booths where Mayawati just voted a short while ago. Maushmi, give us, it's a brisk morning in terms of voting. It's a beautiful morning in terms of the weather. But give us, insight into the district Lucknow with its 9 seats. Earlier on 2017, 8 of them had been taken by the BJP. 1 went to the Samajwadi Party, and some very, very high profile contestants, candidates from this very district.
All right, Preeti, I've been all smiles since morning, since being a Lucknowite. I'm going to vote today, and what a beautiful morning, as you said it is. The morning of Banaras is famous, but today the Lucknowites have proven that they are buzzing with activity, buzzing with action, and so the long queues that you see on both the sides of this polling station where we are right now. Interestingly, we've seen right from the morning, the netas have not left anything to chance or time. Morning 7 a.m. I saw Mayawati walking into the polling station, and we've been seeing a flurry of netas, casting their vote, with Rajnath Singh also saying that, this is the biggest dan, Matdan is the biggest dan. And that's where, the spirit of Lucknow comes into being. Because remember, Preeti, that Atal Bihari Vajpayee actually formed a legacy for left a legacy for the BJP. He actually owned the Lucknowiyat that we talk about, the Hindustani Bhasha, which is actually a mix of Hindi and Urdu and all the mithas with it. And that's why Lucknow is so special. And even as we stand here, this is the Lucknow can seat. You spoke about the 9 seats of Lucknow. Now, this has been a stronghold of the BJP. And if you look at these 9 seats, this is a battle that is being fought for prestige, because if you look at Sarojini Nagar, where Rajeshwar Singh has been given a ticket, Swati Singh was a sitting minister, sitting MLA, her ticket has been cut. If you look at the match there, Abhishek Mishra has been pitched from the Samajwadi Party to give him a straight fight. Yogi Adityanath and Akhilesh camping there, campaigning for them. And then you have the Lucknow Central seat, where I was in the morning. And Lucknow Central is also interesting because Lucknow Central has never had a women MLA. In fact, Lucknow, most of the seats, almost there are 4 seats who've never had a women MLA. So that's also interesting. And Lucknow Central is seeing a very keen battle, though it's a BJP stronghold. We are in Lucknow Can. That's also a very coveted seat. Remember, Aparna Yadav, the Choti Bahu, fought against Rita Bahuguna Joshi in 2017. But Rita, in fact, cruised through because this is a Brahmin-dominated seat. There's a whooping majority of Brahmins. And so the entry of Brijesh Pathak, he's entered into the fray here, leaving the Lucknow Central seat. But let me give you a sense of what the voters are feeling about this energetic line. A quick reaction from a very interesting voter, Preeti. She's left her sister's marriage and she's here standing in the queue. आज वोट डालने आप आई हैं, क्या कहना चाहेंगे? वोट डालने जरूर आना चाहिए।
जरूर आना चाहिए। हमें शादी में जाना था, लेकिन और जरूरी है, हमारी बहन की शादी में जाना था। हाँ,
तो क्या संदेश आप देना चाह रही हैं? मतलब शाम को शादी है ना?
शाम को शादी है, सुबह और जरूरी है। सुबह लेन से लगे 7 बजे से, भूखे प्यासे जनता को वोट देना जरूरी होता है।
और तबीयत भी ठीक नहीं है, बता रही थी।
हाँ, मेरी जांच सब है, मेरी कमर में इतनी तकलीफ है, आज सुबह से हम खड़े हुए दर्द में।
अरे तो बहन की शादी में जाएंगी कि नहीं? इंतजार कर रही है बहन?
नहीं, जाएंगे जरूरी, और भी जानना जरूरी है, ये भी जरूरी है।
उतना ही जरूरी है?
ये भी जरूरी है, ज्यादा ही, सबसे अच्छा है और डालना।
So here, Preeti, you got a sense of how serious and sincere the voters of Lucknow are. The state capital sending a strong, loud and clear message by the voters. Please do come out and vote.
Well, to quote a cliche, Maushmi, this is the dance of democracy right now, taking place in Lucknow. The procession is going to move now to the 5th phase after today. But, to give our viewers a little insight on where Maushmi is standing, that's the seat of Lucknow Can. This is the seat that Rita Bahuguna Joshi wanted for her son, Mayank Joshi. Was denied that seat by the Bharatiya Janata Party. And what's happened, viewers, is just as early as last evening, Mayank Joshi was meeting Akhilesh Yadav, and Akhilesh Yadav tweeted a picture of him and Mayank's meeting, sending possibly a message politically loaded to the Brahmin community, because Rita Bahuguna Joshi has a strong base where the Brahmin are concerned. She's the Brahmin face of the BJP. She was the Brahmin face of the Congress before she defected to the Bharatiya Janata Party. So a lot going on. Will Mayank Joshi join the Samajwadi Party? These are questions that we're going to seek answers from. I'm going to ask our National Affairs Editor, Rahul Srivastav, who's just come back after meeting and interviewing Rajnath Singh. I'm going to call him up on the dais and we're going to speak to him as well. But before I do that, let's cut across right now to Unnao. My colleague Supriya Bharadwaj joins us there. Supriya, 6 seats in Unnao go to vote today. If you look at the tally, 2017, 5 were swept by the Bharatiya Janata Party, 1 by the BSP. All eyes also now on the candidate fielded by Congress. Tell us why.
Well, certainly, yes. The Congress's candidate is Asha Singh, the Unnao rape victim's mother. And she's very upbeat. We have seen Priyanka Gandhi coming in and doing campaigning for her. The entire Ladki Hu Lad Sakti Hu campaign was launched, and the first candidate whose name was announced was Asha Singh from Unnao Sadar, where we are at the moment, Preeti. And the Congress's entire campaign has been around Ladki Hu Lad Sakti Hu, and they said that 40% seats, 40% tickets have to be given to the women, so that more and more women can represent the women force of Uttar Pradesh in the assembly. Well, when we spoke to Asha Singh, she categorically stated that there is no law and order in the state of Uttar Pradesh. She didn't get a justice, and she wants to fight for the daughters and the sisters of hers in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Interestingly, I would like to show you here where we are at the polling station. Look at the queues. Well, on one of the walls it is written, "Wake up UP, wake up." So it's really interesting that the Election Commission today will be smiling, because a lot of people have turned out to vote in large numbers. Till 9 a.m. the polling percentage was around 9.10%. And interestingly also, this was earlier the bastion of Samajwadi Party, and this is where a lot of people are saying that Samajwadi Party can make a comeback. BJP has repeated its own candidate, but as far as this entire constituency of Unnao is concerned, 5 seats were won by BJP and 1 by BSP. So now the Samajwadi Party has also tried its level best to make a comeback in Unnao. What is really interesting here is, Preeti, that as far as this seat is concerned of Unnao, we have seen that a lot of people who are coming out here and are voting are also talking about the series of rapes which took place here, and they were really they made headlines at the national level also. One thing which has just happened is that Priyanka Gandhi, who's a Congress is in charge of Uttar Pradesh, has tweeted about the Lakhimpur Kheri incident. She has said it is really very unfortunate that the victims' family members have to go to the Supreme Court instead of the government itself. So Lakhimpur Kheri is still in the eye of storm. We are seeing as to how the political messaging as well as the political attacks are taking place on the BJP. Priyanka Gandhi will be in Amethi today. She will be campaigning, and we already know that as far as the Congress party is concerned, their entire Ladki Hu Lad Sakti Hu campaigns litmus test will be here in Unnao Sadar, from where Asha Singh is contesting.
Well, you know, this is the Congress really, at least on ground, with what our reporters have been saying, not quite in the game like it would have wanted to. But yes, that seat of Unnao extremely important if Priyanka Gandhi needs to register her campaign of Ladki Hu Lad Sakti Hu. That is extremely important there. Appreciate you joining us, Supriya. From Supriya, let's cut across to my colleague Amit, who's joining me. Amit Bhardwaj from Fatehpur. Amit, how's the voting going? Brisk voting morning in Fatehpur. Give us an insight into the constituency where you're standing.
Preeti, since morning what we have been seeing that at least the Sadar constituency is witnessing a very low voters turnout. In the first 3 phases we had witnessed that in the initial 3 hours the voting percentage was much higher, but this time around that trend is changing and you have lower percentage of voters in the first 3 hours. However, now we believe that the voters have started to come out in larger numbers. As far as the 6 constituencies of Fatehpur are concerned, in 2017 the BJP alliance, that is BJP and Apna Dal, had swept all 6 seats, and Apna Dal in fact had a MLA and minister from Bindki. But this time around, the BJP is facing a stiff challenge from the Samajwadi Party alliance. What is very interesting about the 6 seats of Fatehpur is that in the initial phases we had seen that the key factor were a couple of communities who decided as to whether a particular candidate is winning the election or not. But this time around it's about a variety of caste and communities that would decide the fate of candidates in the electoral fray. For instance, in Fatehpur you have Muslim vote bank, along with that Mauryas and Kurmis and Yadavs are going to play a big role in this, in the eventual result of in whose favor these constituencies go. You also have from Husainganj a minister in the Yogi Adityanath government, Ravanendra Pratap Singh, who had managed to win from a Muslim-dominated constituency in 2017. But this time around, he is also facing a stiff challenge from the Samajwadi Party candidate Usha Maurya, who belongs from the Maurya community, and as well as they are also, you know, in a way banking on the Muslim and Yadav community vote bank in that particular constituency. So, you know, this particular constituency, or the district rather, is going to become a litmus test of Samajwadi Party's larger alliance. Because so far in the western Uttar Pradesh, we had seen that Samajwadi Party and the Rashtriya Lok Dal was depending on the Muslim and Jat vote bank along with the Yadav vote bank. But as the election progresses in Fatehpur, what you see is that the fate of Samajwadi Party, or for that matter Bahujan Samaj Party, would depend upon the fact that whether they are able to go beyond their core vote bank, whether they are able to attract the Mauryas, the Kurmis, the other non-Yadav OBCs, as well as the other non-Jatav Dalits towards them or not. And if the Samajwadi Party alliance, or for that matter BSP, manages to do that, in that particular case, the BJP is all set to witness a very stiff, very strong challenge from the opposition. However, the BJP would want to repeat its numbers. You know, you have Ravanendra Pratap Singh contesting from Husainganj, from Vindki. You have another tall stalwart, and you also have very, leader MP from this particular constituency in Samajwadi Party's state chief, who is also casting his vote today here in Fatehpur. So it's going to be an interesting contest in Fatehpur's 6th assembly, along with the basic issues of health infrastructure and chutta pashu, that is stray cattle. Over to you.
Okay. Right. All right, so the stray cattle menace is big as we've travelled across the state of Uttar Pradesh, and we've moved from west and we are closing into the east. It is a problem which is only magnifying. Will it be an electoral issue? Yes, it is. But will it be the plank on which voters go and cast their ballot? We'll only know when that last vote is counted. Appreciate you joining us, Amit. We're going to continue to come back to you. We've spoken to all our reporters. They can take a quick breather because we're going to move on to our guests. And the grain that we've picked up from each one of them is that this time, not like 2017, which seemed to be easier for the BJP, there's a tough fight on every seat. Does that augur anything at all? Let's ask our, our panelists this morning. I'm joined by Manisha Prem, political analyst. She's joining me. So is Abhishek Sudhir. He is an advocate. I also have Rahul Srivastava, who's right here with me, who's got this number of notes with him you'd want to steal because he's been traveling across UP. Joining us also is Sanjay Singh, political analyst, and Mr. Srivastava, political analyst. Let's cut across right now. You know, if all our panelists allow, to Rahul Srivastava, because he's just come in, interviewed Rajnath Singh, and he's got these many notes with him, and taking off from the grain of what our reporters are telling us, Rahul, and you've also been pretty much reporting on this election. Every district that we have gone to, 59 seats are going into vote this morning. Every seat which was swept by the BJP in 2017, the report is it is a tough fight.
You see, I think it's not that in the entire state there is a tough fight kind of situation. I think in every constituency there is a tough fight. You see, first about this region. This region where we are talking about 59 seats, the BJP won 86.6% last time. That's utopian.
51 of the 59.
Yes, 51 of the 59 is 86% of the seats is something that a party can always, dream about. And this is actually a blend of regions, Awadh, Rohilkhand, as well as the Bundelkhand area. So 3 regions. The interesting element is that since 1996, it's not a matter of bellwether seats. This is a bellwether region. That if any party since 1996 has won in this region, it forms the government. So that's how critical this region, which is polling today, becomes. I think in this region, the BJP used to have an advantage. BJP, what it did in the last election, created a wonderful chemistry through polarization, Hindutva, the Modi factor and others. And after that, it created a very nice arithmetic with the upper caste, the non-Yadav OBCs, the non-Jatav SCs. And that's really worked magic. With 60% of the catchment area, the BJP triumphed. But this time around, for the BJP, the problem is that, one, there is anti-incumbency. For example, when you talk about the cattle menace, it may sound like a small problem to somebody in Delhi, But let me tell you, there is an interesting aspect. It gets worse as the election moves from west to east.
Right.
Remember, east-west of India is a buffalo-dominated area, whereas east of Lucknow is a cow-dominated area. And since it is a cow-dominated area, the stray cattle menace becomes more serious as far as the farmers is concerned. And that is why Akhilesh, in a very clever twist to the election campaign, created what is being called in UP a sound relief fund. There have been instances where people have been killed by stray bulls, and that's what he's targeting. If people are aggrieved, there should well be some kind of a carrot for them. This area also has interesting anti-incumbency elements, like you have Lakhimpur Kheri, like you had cases in Unnao. So all these things make BJP's caste arithmetic, incumbency, and threatens all that the BJP had used to do very well last time around. But if Akhilesh has to do very well, then he has to prove his mettle in this zone. Because the first two were a direct fight. In the second phase, it was the Yadav bastion. This is the zone in which the Akhilesh Yadav will have to prove his mettle.
So, well, if Samajwadi Party has to be in the game, then this is the phase that it has to give a tough fight to the BJP. We spoke to you about issues. Rahul Srivastav detailed some of these issues. And, you know, believe it or not, and as most of our reporters have been coming up, when you ask them what's the biggest overriding concern issue, especially in rural Uttar Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh is largely rural, one of the biggest issues is stray cattle, which Rahul elucidated upon. But let's tell you a little bit more about the caste combinations and on why possibly this arithmetic where caste is concerned has worked with the BJP earlier. Let's cut across, we don't have Ms. Priyam there, but let's cut across to Sandeep Srivastav. Sandeep Srivastav, 59 constituencies spread across 9 districts, 4th phase of polling. If you look at the caste arithmetic, in whose favour do you think it tilts towards? Sandeep Shastri, sorry.
Shastri or Sandeep Srivastav? Okay.
Sandeep Shastri, sir, go ahead.
Thank you for having me in. You are perfectly right that the caste calculus matters so much in this particular election. Let's remember one important point, that in the 2019 Lok Sabha election, the Lokniti CSDA survey shows that if the BJP did extremely well in UP, it was because of the support of the non-Yadav OBC vote that the party managed to get, other than, of course, the vote of the upper caste. Now, it will be interesting to see this time around, how does this non-Yadav backward caste vote play out, especially given the fact that certain prominent leaders of that community have moved away from the BJP to other parties in recent times. Of course, that is, the moving of leaders is no indicator of how the community would move, but I think that would be something very interestingly seen in this round of elections. And to add to the points which Rahulji made and others made, I think for the BJP and the Samajwadi Party, this 4th round is extremely crucial, because last time around, the BJP won 51 of the 69 seats, being the challenger and not being the incumbent. This time, being the incumbent, would they be able to hold on to these seats on the in terms of the track record of their performance? Last time, the SP was able to win only 4 seats in this region, and the BSP was able to win 3 seats in the region. Their good performance in this region will be critical to any chances of making sure that a new ruling party comes. So all these factors are in play today. And I think the BJP's strongholds is what everybody would look at. And as you rightly said, this is also the phase in which Rae Bareli constituencies go to vote. And so the hold of the Congress party would be once again tested. The seat where the Congress president today is the member of the Lok Sabha would be tested. So I think today's phase is critical. Critical in terms of defining the balance. Critical in defining which party is able to move towards the majority.
Mr.
mark,
Shastri,
I think
I'm
today
afraid
would
I'm
be
coming in. I'm interrupting you. I apologize, but the reason is because we're getting in a lot of political reactions. Let's listen in to the Deputy CM Uttar Pradesh.
निश्चित रूप में ये चुनाव अन्य चुनाव से बिल्कुल अलग चुनाव रहा है। पहले चुनाव में सड़क, बिजली, पानी, शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य और सुरक्षा ये प्रमुख मुद्दे हुआ करते थे। अब की बिजली हमने दी है, 24 घंटे शहर में, 18 घंटे गांव में और 22 घंटे हम तहसीलों में दे रहे हैं। शिक्षा में सुधार हुआ है। हमने नकलविहीन परीक्षा से लेकर रोजगार परक शिक्षा तक और समय से परीक्षा, समय से परिणाम, समय से प्रवेश, ये तमाम पाठ्यक्रमों के परिवर्तन के बाद हमने शुरू किया है। और हम कह सकते हैं स्वास्थ्य के क्षेत्र में भी, जहां 2-3 मेडिकल कॉलेज हुआ करते थे, 5 सालों में आज 32 मेडिकल कॉलेज काम कर रहे हैं। जहां 2-3 हवाई अड्डे संचालित थे, वहां 14 हवाई अड्डे संचालित हैं। एशिया का सबसे बड़ा जेवर का एयरपोर्ट बनना शुरू हो गया है। 5 एक्सप्रेसवे और 6 मेट्रो का संचालन, ये प्रदेश की बड़ी उपलब्धियां हैं। इसलिए मैं कह सकता हूं कि इस बार का जो विधानसभा चुनाव है, जनता स्वयं चुनाव लड़ रही है। सपा, बसपा, माकपा, भाकपा, MIM, इनका सबका योग 100 के आंकड़े को पार नहीं करेगा। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अपनी जीत का रिकॉर्ड स्वयं पार करेगी। 10 मार्च को जब परिणाम आने वाला होगा तो मैं कह सकता हूं कि सपा, बसपा, कांग्रेस के तमाम जो जनप्रतिनिधि भी चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं वो उस दिन भूत हो जाएंगे, भूतपूर्व हो जाएंगे। और वो निश्चित रूप में भूतों का क्रंदन 10 मार्च को होगा। और बीजेपी
All right, lots of political reactions coming in. We're going to get you the ringside view or the front row seats to this political thriller. 4th phase polling as we speak. A quick break. When we return, we cut across to our political analyst Sanjay Singh, Mr. Sudhir, Abhishek Sudhir and Manisha Prem on the other side. Do stay with me.